Welcome to the Identifying the Central Idea using the Main Ideas method video lesson. In this video, we're going to look at a different way of identifying the central idea of informational text, and it's a special one that uses the main ideas. So, here's the plan. You start with a claim, then you get the main ideas, and then you get the central idea. And so it's one step at a time. Let's walk through this one step at a time. Here's our first step. Identify the claim. In other words, ask yourself, what's the big idea? What big idea does the author share in the introduction and conclusion? You may find that this is the central idea. What's the big idea the author shares in the introduction and conclusion? Now, why look in both places? Because sometimes the author states it right up front, sometimes the author waits to the end, sometimes the author puts it in both places. So make sure you check both the introduction and conclusion to see what's there. Next comes the main ideas. And so what you do is you look at each paragraph, or if the text is broken into sections with like headings and all of that, you could look at those sections. And you ask yourself, what does the author share in each of those sections? It probably has something to do with what was mentioned in the claim. This should lead us to our central idea, because you can ask yourself, what is the big idea that the claim and the main ideas share? So usually they're very much related, and that's what you're looking for. That's your central idea. Now remember, your central idea is going to be a sentence. A sentence. Okay, so let's try this in real people land. Here we go. We've got a passage of informational text. Our first job is to read it, and then we look at it and we say, all right, where's the claim? What is the claim? And so we look at the introduction and conclusion. Now, this passage actually doesn't have a conclusion, but it does have an introduction. And we can find there that the claim is there are many ways to limit government. There are many ways to limit government. Now, this may be our central idea, but we can't be sure. We need to go through the process. So, what is the next step in our process? It is to identify the main ideas. Now, this passage is really organized well. I notice that it's broken into sections. And so you've got each section has its own heading, and that gives you a hint as to what the topic of that section is. And then you read that section, and you should be able to find out an idea. And again, since it's an idea like a central idea, but in this case it's a main idea of a smaller section, you're looking for a sentence here. So, what main ideas do we have? Well, the first section, the main idea is constitutions limit government. In the second section, the author shares that the rule of law limits government. So that's the main idea for that section. Third section, separation of powers limits government. Fourth section, requiring the people's consent limits government. I've noticed that all of those sections have to do with limiting government, which kind of made sense because that's what our author was talking about with the claim. The claim was there are many ways to limit government, so we may be onto something here. So here we go. Here's our central idea. We ask ourselves, what is the big idea the claim and main ideas share? As we just identified, it is governments can be limited in many ways. Now, as I said, sometimes you'll notice that the claim is going to be the central idea. But you got to be sure. So what you do is you check to see what the main ideas were. And if those main ideas kind of follow that pattern that we've seen in the claim, then we can go with it and say, yeah, that's our central idea. Remembering, of course, that a central idea is going to be a sentence. All right, there you have it. Identifying the central idea. You can use the main ideas method.